on now. You got 3 minutes to go.
You have to unmute all Patnaik sir. And add me as co-host.
1 second. You will be. Okay, I made you as the co-host. Done. Okay. Yeah. Rafia's frame is okay. दादा आपका frame अच्छा सही है. Frame is okay.
Okay, please. My audio
You
is
must,
clear.
Vanita, your
Check
head is
one.
getting cut. So थोड़ा पीछे जाओ या कंप्यूटर को पीछे करो.
Me?
Yeah, now it's okay. Your frame is okay. Your frame is perfect.
Please check my audio. Is this okay?
Yeah, audio is perfectly okay. Audio is good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Vanita is
Hi,
okay. Now
Vanita.
I'm allowing people in. It is 2 minutes to go. I'm allowing people in. I'm admitting all. Okay.
Okay. Hi Rafia, pleasure to meet you.
Hi, Vanita.
Hi Rafia, how are you?
Finally.
Okay, we're 29. Another 1 minute. Vanita, you can go after that. Sandhya.
Hello everyone. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. A warm welcome to everyone to this webinar. We have a lot of participants here joining us from all around the world. A very warm welcome once again. Today's webinar is on implementation of IMO guidelines for COVID-19, which is a new identified risk and how to safeguard, followed by the second segment on leadership during crisis, shifting sales towards growth. I am Vanita Varadkar, your moderator for today's session. I am a master mariner and I have sailed on board different kinds of vessels for several years. Presently, I work ashore in Singapore as a route analyst with Storm Geo Shipping. Today, in this COVID-19 pandemic, the shipping industry is faced with several challenges, and we in the shipping industry still continue to operate seamlessly across the globe, ensuring that supply chain for essential goods is unaffected. In today's webinar of 60 minutes, we will be talking on issues affecting the maritime industry. Following the two presentations, we will be conducting a poll and a short Q&A session. Please feel free to write to us with your queries and questions in the chat section of the Zoom meeting. Okay, so I shall move to the first segment, that is implementation of IMO guidelines for COVID-19. This will be presented by Mr. Debashish Mazumdar, CEO and MD of Seed Maritime UK. Debashish has over 35 years of experience in the maritime industry as a chief engineer and in various positions ashore, such as IX class surveyor, UK Port State Inspector, lead auditor for ISM, ISPS, MLC, ISO standard compliance. Debashish has also held prestigious positions as the head of ISM for the UK flag. head of the UK ship register since 2011, and then followed by Caribbean flag St. Kitts and Nevis since 2015 as the CEO. Debashish also actively supports ship owners, ship managers, and vessels with surveys, audits to raise the vessel and company safety standards worldwide, and also assists with statutory and regulatory compliance. Today, Debashish will be giving us a brief introduction about the present scenario on COVID-19 pandemic affecting the maritime industry, its regulations, and how to successfully implement the guidelines that IMO has put across in this disrupted situation. I will now hand over to Debashish for his address on this topic. Over to you, Debashish. Debashish, your mic is unmuted. Can you please unmute it?
Is that okay? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you are loud and clear now.
Right, okay. Thank you, Vanita, for your wonderful introduction. And good evening, Singapore. Good afternoon, India and Dubai. And good morning, United Kingdom. People are all over the world. Where I thank all of you for your time and to join us here in this session here in Singapore. Well, so I will just try to, in response to the coronavirus outbreak, we are here to discuss a little bit of what are the problems which the ship owners, managers, crew, officers are facing presently, and how that can be tackled. Now, IMO guidelines, as per the title, they have written a lot of guidelines and how we can implement. Now, regarding the IMO guidelines, I'm referring to the circular 4204. If you Google it, you'll find it. 4204 of the circular letter of IMO. And the first letter was on 27th of March, 2020, and the latest is 16th of May, 2020, which gives the whole sort of guidelines of what the member states are supposed to do. As we know, IMO is not a regulatory authority. IMO is the guidelines, and the flag state is going to be the regulatory authority too. So far as we all know that everything is voluntary, nothing has been made mandatory. So, but apart from guidelines, we are here to discuss a lot of things, and a lot of things I want you all to take home some new information with you after this session. So most of the people are aware and they are doing in this pandemic all the requirements. But just to add, and maybe somebody knows, somebody, and something is new for them. So I would like to bring to your notice, apart from the IMO guidelines, there is WHO guidelines, that is the World Health Organization guidelines. There is ILO guidelines, International Labour Organization guidelines, which is in Geneva. And there is also ECDC. Now, a lot of people on that side of the world, Far East side of the world, I don't know how many people are aware of it, but the very important sort of organization is ECDC guidelines, which if your ships are coming towards Europe, you have to have a run and read through them. Now, ECDC is the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control. This is for Europe. So they have laid specific guidelines. So if your ship is going to Europe, it is advisable that we should do ECDC. Now, so far, when the ships go to US, we are always worried about the US Coast Guard coming on board. Now, for this pandemic, for COVID-19, we still have to worry about US Coast Guard. Now, where US Coast Guard comes in here, because they have a unit called CDC, which is Centers for Disease Control. A lot of people whose ships are going may be already aware of it, but have a read of all the regulations of CDC, which is Centers of Disease Control for US Coast Guard. So these are all the things which are laid down. There is another thing which is there for this is IMHA. So these are what we are here to discuss. These are the certain things that are not common, but we should know them. All the superintendents should know them. Now, IMHA is International Maritime Health Association. Now, this is also an association which was formed in 1997 in Norway, but now they work from Belgium in the Europe. So they have also these guidelines. So now, as we know that, coming into the COVID thing, so the COVID was detected in early December 2019. These are all everybody knows in a province called Hubei in Wuhan. So, and now as we know, it's all over the world. So what I've tried to figure out in this session is first a couple of things which are directly affecting the maritime world. I'll just discuss some of the things what are the directly things which is affecting us in the maritime industry. So the main things which are affecting us is first, number one is day-to-day ship operations. Now, day-to-day ship operations is not going to be the same as it was. A lot of things in common. I'll come into the details later on. So, but the day-to-day ship operations, cargo operations, everything will change because of COVID. The second change is changes in documentation and procedures. Your ISM manual needs to be changed. Your all MLC manual needs to be changed. So everywhere COVID-19 will have to come in. And there will be a lot of changes in your procedures in the ship as well as in the office. We will discuss this in detail a bit later. Okay, now there's introduction of training programs. So far we were having training for the SOLAS, for MARPOL, water ballast management, whatever, and post-sale control. Now there should be training programs for COVID-19. Because these are all the guidelines, because now when a crew joining or the crew on board, all the office people, everybody has to be briefed and aware of the COVID, how the disease spreads, what are the precautions, what are the symptoms. And so similarly, all these training programs of shipping companies will change. A lot of big shipping companies have got huge training departments, so they are also working on this. So next one is the increased responsibility for all. So now this is an added responsibility which everyone in the marine sector is involved with. So the role profiles will change. They will add this COVID-19 responsibilities in their role profile. Everybody's role profile in the ship will have these responsibilities provided. So those things will change. Now, number 4 is cost of freight. The freight cost is already reduced. Bulk freight has already gone down and slowly going down as tanker and container. But they are still flying, the ship is still flying, so their freights are a bit better than the bulk fare rate. So that's one. So overall what? Overall there's an increase of cost, operational cost. So the owner has an increase of it. So you have to think about your budgets and these things, and you have to make space for the operation cost just because of COVID. So these are the things which, that sort of a thing are the basic difficulties which we'll be facing now in the years to come. So, and now I'm going to discuss something about the procedure changes which I mentioned. These are all part of IMO and all the the advices from different organizations have related. And I'm just talking about 20 changes you need to do. That's what the time allowed. There are a lot of other changes, but I'm talking about the 20 changes which we should do now. Companies are already doing it. Some companies have already done it, but I'm just having a memo with you for what has to be done. Now, number 1 is new port restrictions. Now, this is the first sort of a thing which will change is new port restrictions. Now, all ports in the world have laid down their own restrictions, own local laws. So you have to get all these things. So these has to be part of your SMS procedures. You have to have procedures for new port restrictions. Number 2 is protective measures against COVID-19. What the company has done for the protective measures to prevent their staff, the floating staff, COVID-19 for seafarers. So these needs to be documented in your thing so that it's specified in writing somewhere. Now, the number 3 is outbreak of COVID-19 plan. Now, so far we had garbage management plan, a lot of plans on board we have. But now your COVID-19 outbreak management plan has to be done. A lot of companies have done it. I've seen a lot of companies plan it. But if you've not done it, small companies, they have to do it. Now, this COVID management plan should also be part of your SMS. Now, next one, number 4, is hygiene measures for seafarers on ships. This was not there before. Now we have to make hygiene measures. How the ship is hygiene, where all the sanitizing gel has to be kept, where all your mask and everything, how clean. Like now in shore, wherever you go, it has to be sanitized, right? You go to a hotel, the hotel room has to be sanitized first before you go. Trains has to be sanitized first. Aircraft has to be sanitized. Similarly, ships have to do that. So procedures for this cleaning, like hygiene measures. Number 5 is cleaning, disinfection, and waste management. So far, we were doing waste management, right? Now, cleaning and disinfection will also come. How the rooms are cleaned and disinfected, they all have to be logged. So once these procedures are there, all the procedures will follow up with check sheet. And no doubt there will be more paperwork on board, but they have to do it because otherwise, how will you control how when it is going? The company has to put the intervals of disinfection, cleaning, and apart from the waste management. So the waste management will include these two sections also. Now, the next number 6 is pre-boarding and screening. Now, so far we were screened for ISPS, right? When you're going on board, you're screened, you're checked for your ISPS security, that terrorism. Now, another screening will start because of COVID. So these are the things which are, has to be done. So pre-boarding information and screening has to be laid down in the company. Every company will have different ways how to screen the visitors on board. So slowly, now still it's locked down. There hardly any visitors except the agent. But when things will start, this will also start. With, Okay, that is number 7. What I am doing is COVID training awareness for seafarers. That is what we were saying that if COVID awareness for training awareness for seafarers for suspected cases. So now the seafarer is supposed to understand this thing, what are the symptoms and how to get to know if there is a suspected cases on board. Like so this has to be in 2 forms. One is the training and awareness, which is number 7. Number 8 is the suspected cases, right? So of infection. So this is very important because the next is the high risk exposure. Now the high risk exposure, if you read about the COVID thing, the high risk exposure, there's a separate chapter on high risk exposure. People must read it, and it's called close contact. Now this close contact thing, the crew and officers have to understand because this whole disease spreads on contacts, on close contact. So that is one of the things which has to be coming also in your safety management system. Then management of suspected cases and positive cases. Now suppose there's a suspected case or a positive case, how to manage them on board. So that has to be required. So that is number 10. Now, precaution taken by the medical facilities on board. Now, also, second officer's role profile will change. Add COVID things, how he's supposed to do, how the medical facilities. Suppose it's in a cruise ship, then how there's a whole hospital and a medical team, how they are doing their precautions on board for COVID. So that is also to be required. Then case handling, how the handle case. These has to be all written down, how a case will be handled once it's there. And the next one, number 13, is isolation of board. Like on lockdown period, if you have symptoms, we have to isolate in our house. Similarly, how it is isolated on board. So there should be, hospital is a bed. Now, if there are more than 2 people who are being got symptoms, so there are separate cabin has to be dedicated, which is sanitized and put as an isolation bay. So these sort of things will come up when slowly if there is sort of a thing with isolation. Number 14 is testing facilities for COVID-19 on board. Now, everything is in a state where nobody knows what's happening. Now, the testing things for the swab testing for the throat is coming up, but it's still not available in the market. Later on, when the things open up, there will be testing kits. And there, People on board should be tested for COVID. Even for visitors, they will be tested. So these are all going to follow suit now. Now, number 15 is reporting for the next port of call. Now, reporting for the next port of call is very, very important. It's already started for people who are moving. Whichever port your ship is going, you have to report well in advance. The agent will give you all the details. You have to comply. Now, what I've seen, I've been on board recently. What I've seen is if you comply with all the port restrictions, there is no problem at all. There's no cargo stoppage. There's no nothing. The ship is not getting delayed in any respect so far, at least in the United Kingdom. So reporting next port of call is very important. Why? Because the number 16 is daily body temperature reporting. So a lot of the ships are already doing it. Most of the ports in UK and most of the ports require a 15-day log of body temperatures of all crew, from masters to crew, taken twice daily in the morning and evening, and signed by them. This has to be sent and faxed or emailed or scanned to the agent before the arrival of the vessel. So that is what is required for a 15-day period of the body temperature of all the crew. So this is already started. So this is one of the things which will be included in your SMS manual. Number 17 is dissemination of the suspected and positive case. Now, suppose they're suspected and a positive case, you are isolated, right? If you're isolated and in 7 days the fever goes away, then you are negative, you come back 15 days. But suppose if it does not go away in 15 days, then what happens? Suppose respiratory trouble starts, like inshore, when this happens, you're admitted to the hospital, right? Then you go to the ventilator. So on ship, seafarers, what's going to happen? So there should be a procedure for handing over the cases to the shore people, to the shore authority. So disembarkation of these sort of cases also different for different countries, because they are a visitor, they will not keep you in the hospital, they'll keep you in a separate place. So every country's got this thing, but companies have to be aware of this. So now number 18 is PPE for all crew. Now this is not the PPE for safety, for solar, the PPE is different. Now we have a separate PPE for the cases which are for the COVID-19, which is, as you know, it's the visor, it's the full suit. Now, the person who's the ISPS guard who's on the gangway or any ship, now he has to wear a full PPE, including visor, everything, because he's the first getting in contact with the person who's, coming on board for the first time. So that is why it is very much important, so that all the PPE, there should be PPE for all the crew. Okay, now the 19th one, which I pointed out, is equipment and supplies. These are, I'm only talking about COVID-19. The separate equipment list has to be made, the supply list has to be made, and the equipment and these things have to be supplied sufficiently. Like in the equipment and the supplies, there should be masks, sanitizing gel, there should be advisors, and gloves and all that thing, because you need to keep a log at it. Because you should remember, once the lockdown is finished and the surveys and port state will start slowly, port health officers is going to go from different port community. So when the port health officer boards, they should see that they will check all this. And if you see that there's no gloves, there's no sanitizing gel, nothing, then there may be a problem. So these sort of things is, and the last one is, the 20th one is preventative posters. Now, WHO and a lot of organizations have created on the net, you get a lot of preventative posters like wash hands, social distancing, and maintaining the distance of, presently it's 2 meters. A lot of companies have made it, a lot of countries have made it 1 meter. So that way, these things, the preventive stickers, and these things are required and posted. It gives a good thing. If the ship comes and any outsider, when visitor starts coming, then if they see these posters, they know the ship is well equipped. The ship is aware of the COVID precautions, and they find it to be a safe ship. So these are the things which, the 20 things which immediately requires notice. So I just had this thing with you, so to remind you that these sort of things are required. Now, how does COVID-19 affect ISM? Now, this is okay. The manuals that have to change. Apart from that, this COVID-19 uh, affects the international safety management system. Yes, it does. How does it do? Now, what is thing? Uh, now, if you go to the ISM code, clause 1.2.2.2, I do so many audits, so it's all that. That says that assess all identified risks to its ship's personnel and environment and safeguard it. This is the clause. This is the ISM one of the clauses. So companies have to identify COVID-19 as an additional risk, which is a major risk, and add it to the risk analysis report. So every ship with the risk analysis report is the risk of risk, right? So this risk has to be added. Why is it like this? Because later on, when the ISM audit and the port state control comes on board, and he sees your risk analysis report, and if he doesn't find COVID is not included in a risk, he can easily write a non-conformity on ISM clause 1.2. Straight away a non, because you have not identified a major risk. Ship may be doing a lot of things, all precautions, but it has to be included in the risk analysis report, and it also has to have a procedure how you are safeguarding, which I just discussed. These are 20 points are all procedures to safeguard, right? So once that is in the manual, you can only show that as per as manual. So these sort of things are very much important. Now, I have been auditing a lot of ships, and I'm finding. Do you know most of them? What is the latest edition of ISM code? Well, you'll be surprised when I'm auditing even big companies in the bridge. I find the ISM code is obsolete. So the ISM code, which is present now, is edition 2018. So these are some of the people. Most of you are all senior people, all know, but I'm just trying to revise it. This 2018 is the new ISM code, and it is double the size of 2014, which was the last one. Now, looks like this. This is the ISM code, which all of you know, but some of them, the light blue color, so that was the 2014 one. And this is twice as much thick than the 2014. So if people have not read it, I would advise them, please go and read, because 2 new chapters have been added here. Now, these chapters may not be now mandatory, but one of them is going to be mandatory 1st of January 2021. Now, the first of this chapter, I will show you a small slide. It's showing about near-miss reporting. If you know that, everybody's got a near-miss form in the company and the near-miss reporting. And Vinita, yes. Now, if you see in the MEPC 7 circular from IMO, it was discussed the guidance for near-miss reporting. Now, a lot of things here in this, which has newly come up, are not into your near-miss reporting in your procedures when we audit we find. So this is also one of the things. This is one of the chapters in ISM code, but it comes as a guidance. It's not yet mandatory. Okay, but this near-miss reporting, it shows you how the near-miss reporting you do, how do you investigate a near-miss report, then how do you report a near-miss, everything. This has got about 15 pages on this. So this is one thing which is, I hope, if anybody not read it, please read it and check with your near-miss reporting in your manual, because these are the new guidance the MEPC has given from the IMO. So if there's something missing in your manual, take it from here and put it in your own words inside your manual. Then it will be a good sort of a manual. The second chapter, which has been included in the new ISM code, is, can I have, Vinita, can I have the second slide, please? It is the cyber security, maritime cyber risk management in safety management systems. Can you see that? I'm just showing this because me talking, I can go and talk and a lot of things, but this is the reality. If you see the Maritime Safety Committee has given the full, yes. cyber risk management and safety management system. Now, how to do this, how to do it, you have to have an active system of cyber management from 1st of January 2021. So even I'm as a consultant, I do and write the manuals for these sort of things. But these are the things, if you have not done, you have to get it down, just for a year. So not even a year, about 6 months. So these are the new things which are there. This is part of the ISM code. Now, when you go to audit and you ask the master about this, some have no clue. They don't even know this is part of ISM code. So these are the things which, what we are here discussing, and it will help you to frame your things and make a better sort of a documentation for your this thing. Okay, now most flag states now, what we do, they've given an inspection and they've given an extension of 3 months, right? Extension 3 months, and some of the flag states have also given remote audits. So a lot of companies are doing remote, like internal audits, ISM audits, they are doing remote. Some of the flag states have given them. So for 3 months, it's fine. They're given the 3 months thing, and we do. After 3 months, what happens? Do the flag state give another 3 months? So again, there will be going to be 6 months. Then you have to see that 6 months, if they give another 3 months after this, which 3 months from March will be finishing in July. If you get another 3 months, then again you will be doing remote audits and everything. So you have to take care whether the ships don't deteriorate in their maintenance, because no inspectors are coming on board for 6 months. No auditors are coming on board for 6 months. So when things will open up everything and port state is boarding, it's a caution for the owners. They should have their own this thing to maintain the ship, even if the inspectors don't come, even if the the surveyors, auditors, they don't come. So now, what is the future? The future is when this opens up. So for this, I just tried out. Well, I'm doing internal audits for different companies, from big companies in the UK also. And I've been on board just 2 weeks back when it was just, the lockdown was just easing out. So I got a call and there was some emergency requirement. And even now going on board in the UK, ship surveying is part of essential emergency items. So I was allowed by the court authority. And I've been to a ship and just to try out. So I tried out an ISM internal audit with social distancing. So that is what is going to come in a couple of months. When these extensions will get over, you have to get the auditing and everything done with the social distancing won't reduce like next 1 year or 2 years. So how do you do that? So that's why I've been to a cargo ship, and did some audits and inspections. So I just want to share with you a few slides. Now see the slides, if you see. So I am having an opening meeting of ISM on board. These have not started as yet. I've just tried out, and it works. So I'm with my full PPE, and the captain is sitting just opposite me, and then the crew, and we are having a sort of a opening and closing meeting in the same manner with equal social distancing. So, Vanita, can you have the next slide, please? Yes. Now see. Now this is ISM interviewing, auditing. There's a chief officer who's in Chinese national. And this happened 2 weeks back. And I was interviewing him in the officer's mess room, because nowadays it's all restricted. You cannot go to any cabin or anything like that. There's one specific area has been marked where the visitors can come. So that's fair enough. So that's where the whole audit takes place with social distancing. So I am interviewing a chief officer with 2 to 3 meters distance. Okay, now, Vanita, can I have the next slide, please? Similarly, chief engineer auditing in the this thing in a control room, and the second engineer with a social distance. My whole idea is this is possible. This is just starting. So nowadays, what will happen is, okay, so this is how you're auditing in the engine control room. Okay. Next slide, please. This is when you go on deck, because they're doing inspection of these things and second of the. So we have a full PPE, and we have 2 meter, 3 meter distance. So this is what is the future. This is what is going to happen. It's bound to happen because you cannot have extension after extension. Sometimes the hardware survey needs to start and the audit needs to start. So this is the way I'm presently. This is done in a UK port. I've done it, and if I get further things that shipped in UK, I'm happy to help out to do it. Okay, so there's another slide. This is a general side, like how you come in with the PPP, how you enter, and how you do the meeting, and how you have to carry yourself, because it's a risk for both. It's a risk for the seafarers, it's a risk for me. So before going into the ship, I checked all their audits. Everything came to me, 15 days of all temperature reports and all of the crew. And they were all distinct. So and then I had to test through all the port entry regulations in UK so that I could go to vessel. So now what is the future? The future is presently with the scenario, especially from the Far East, the countries and the ship owners in the Far East, the shippers are in Europe, UK or US. Traveling for a superintendent is nearly very, very difficult in the next 1 year. Because wherever you go, like in UK, it is 15 days quarantine, right? Now, after 3 months, they're saying they'll make it 7 days quarantine. So even if you're coming for some sort of a job or something, it's not possible because it won't, it won't help anybody. So you have to find out sort of a measure for localized inspection. So people you have to nominate people in local inspection. And thinking of this in what side, Siege Maritime and Amon board, we both have joined together. And it's mostly Amon board sort of a effort where we have created an app. This app is Amon board app, which is an app or when you log into this app as a customer, then you can book inspections. So when you go to the opening page of the app, you will get book. So if you click on book, then it takes you to different countries. So it's very easy for a ship owner or a superintendent to go to any countries and click where the ship is and see the inspecting, who the inspectors are. We have got all senior inspectors, senior export state, ex-class, senior naval architects, and a lot of ex-DMET people are all involved in different ports. Like for example, if you go to the Amon board app and you download it, and then you go to booking, and all the countries come in the booking. You go United Kingdom, you'll find Siege Maritime and all the details of me. I'm heading Siege Maritime, so I'm doing all the inspections and all the. Now, what all things are doing is it's ISM internal audits, it's superintendency. If a ship is detained, then to release the ship. All these things which cannot be done. So previously, if a ship is detained, superintendent cannot fly immediately. They can't do that because it's not available. The flight won't be available with this quarantine. So the company will somehow have to. So that's why to help the entire marine fraternity all over the world, we have developed this. Our idea is just to help and get the ships going. So if you are interested, you can get down on this app. At least you'll get a feeling of what is the designation of the inspectors. You'll get the fees. You'll get everything in the app itself, because everything we do now is with apps. Like in the UK, and the cash transactions, a lot of shops are stopped. You have to just do contactless buying. So this is the current this thing of scenario. So this is that's all I have time for today. And thank you very much for listening. And we have another speaker, very interesting speaker after me, and she will enlighten you on new moons and lives. And I won't let out any more secrets, but thank you everybody for joining in. If you have any details, you can email me, you can contact me, and I'm here in UK with any sort of a help you require in anything, in port state, in surveys, in audits, and everything. And we are happy to help you. I hope you are taking home something new with you today. Maybe only one thing, but still something new. And please give us feedback and a poll will happen, and you can put in your comments. Also, you can put your questions in the chat box. We'll have a question and answer session just after Rafia speaks, the next speaker. And then we will have a chat again, and we will see what all things we can discuss. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, the organizers. Thank you, Vanita, and over to you, Vanita.
Thank you, Debashish. That was a very informative presentation. It was quite interesting to see how the audit situation is on board. So it was good to see the pictures from the inspection on board. Okay, moving on to the next segment. We have our second presenter for today, Ms. Rafia Sultana. Rafia Sultana is a motivational speaker, motivational keynote speaker, and mindset coach. She delivered her keynote in multiple countries and is the founder of NeuroXLPT Limited, a Singapore-based consulting company based in Singapore. Singapore-based consulting company. She is master of NLP and is trained by the co-creator of NLP in London. Rafia has been awarded with several prestigious awards, such as the Asia's Most Talented Coaching Leader in 2019, Women Super Achiever Award at the 7th World HRD Congress, and 101 Fabulous Training and Development Leader. Rafia helps leaders and teams to accelerate growth and drive their performance by adopting a growth mindset with her unique methodology and astronaut's perspective based on proven tools and techniques. A warm welcome to you, Rafia. We are keen to hear your thoughts and opinion on how best can we handle this unique COVID-19 situation and the challenges that it has thrown at seafaring community and its leaders. Over to you, Rafia.
Thank you, Vanita, for such a wonderful introduction, and thank you, Patnaik and Amon board for giving me this opportunity to share my message here. Well, I'm sure Debas's message was amazing. He has covered most of the technical stuff. I'm sure many of the mariners got all the information that is needed. So just for a change, let us focus on the human side of leadership. So let's humanize leadership. So did you ever get this question in your mind, or does anyone ask you this question? If you are given 30 days to live, what you want to do? Well, if you don't have the answer, that's still fine. But 10 years back, this is the exact question that I asked myself when I was at much more different phase than who I am today. So to get the answer, so this is the answer I got: E plus R equals O. And if you want to know E plus R equals O, you have to be here with me until the end of this session. So moving forward, just allow me to share a tiny tale of my life, which completely changed my life for good. It was 1:30 a.m. in night in a pitch dark room of my home. In my living room, I was sitting on a window with one leg hanging outside the window and one leg hanging inside the room. Well, what I was doing sitting there? To get the answer, let me take you to my childhood. When I was 6 years old, I saw something on a torn old newspaper that my mother brought from a neighbor. It was so magical for a 6-year-old girl who have never seen this before. And what I saw is first Indian women in space. That was the moment for me where my childhood dream was born to be an astronaut. Well, it was an impossible dream for me because I was born in a very humble family and my mother was the sole breadwinner for 7. And I had to choose a book over a sumptuous meal. Besides, coming from a community where women education is not supported, it was an impossible dream. So I dared to dream, and I worked hard for the next 15 years, paving the path to live my dream. So I managed to finish my university. I got an opportunity to work in an aeronautics organization. But not long after that, I realized that I cannot continue my education and I had to give up everything because we cannot afford to pursue or continue my education further. So that was a tough decision for me to leave everything, but I gave up on my dream. I thought I will survive, but deep inside my heart, it was killing me. And over the period of time, the pain became so deep that I wanted to end everything because I could not take it anymore. I was not sharing this pain with anyone. So that's the reason why I was sitting on the window. But thankfully, I did not jump out the window. That's why I'm here, so that I can share my message with the world, so that I can help them. So that was the lowest point in my life. From that point to the fast forward 10 years, right now, I'm living I'm in a better place, and I'm living a much more peaceful and meaningful life with my loving family in a place like Singapore, being a professional, helping others to live an abundant and purposeful life. So how I could be able to do that? What did I do that changed my life to be who I am today? So I did this through gaining an astronaut's perspective. You see, astronauts get to see the world from an entirely different point of view. They have the opportunity to break free from their current environment here on Earth and fly far away into space. Then they can turn and look back at Earth from a completely different perspective. My, what a view that must be. Well, I'm not an astronaut. I did not live my dream of being an astronaut, but through my journey of transformation, I realized that it is possible to gain an astronaut's perspective without traveling to space. You see, the key to my transformation was unlocking this ability to take myself out of my current situation and view my world from an entirely different perspective, just as astronauts do. I have learned that we cannot see the full picture until we can step out of that frame, and we cannot solve problems with the same kind of thinking that we created themselves. And it was a saying by Einstein. So this is, to me, is an astronaut's perspective, and I want to share with you today how you can gain an astronaut's perspective to deal with this pandemic as a leader, and so that you can step out of that frame of negativity. So I call it as an astronaut's perspective. This is also the methodology that I use as a professional speaker, coach, and trainer, helping leaders to drive their team performance by adapting a growth mindset, so that I can help them to find solutions with much more clarity, confidence, and courage, especially during change and uncertainty. So what I realized is your perspective is the key. What is your perspective, your point of view about the current situation? As we know, everyone are dealing with pandemic, and we have these fears. And as leader, your perspective matters much more, because if you cannot take care of your own emotions in this phase, you cannot motivate your team to communicate risk during this difficult times, to motivate them to align their vision and mission with your organization. So there are many more challenges. So by this life-changing experience, I realized life is 10%. Life is all about 10% what happens and 90% how we react to it. That have been a great lesson that I learned. And based on that, the methodology that I apply in an astronaut's perspective is recover, reprogram, and revamp. So this is 3 R's methodology that can help adapting to new normal. And as we know, for the seafarers, I personally can feel it, because being a wife of a seafarer from past 10 years, I personally see the emotional cycle they go through when they are back, when during the throughout their life cycle, and during the uncertain times when they are on board, and especially you being a manager, how you manage that emotionally yourself, and how you could be able to help your team to get through that. So to me, it starts with acceptance. So the moment you step out of that frame, no matter whatever moment whatever negative emotion that we have, could be anxiety, fear, or demotivation to see the solution, it starts with accepting the situation as it is. As Einstein says, we cannot find solution with the same kind of thinking that we created it. So it starts with the change, and that is nothing but I call it as a recovery. So next comes the reprogramming. What is reprogramming? In my journey of self-mastery, I got the opportunity to learn from the co-creator of NLP, Dr. Richard Bandler from London. There, I learned many tools that personally helped me to transform my life. And of course, as a, I think it's an outcome that when we focus on what we believe, we get the results very positively. So that happened to me. I got my awards, everything, but that is not defining me who I am or what I'm doing. What defines me is my passion, because when I was at the peak of that painful moment, I realized humans are suffering with these tiny things, and they need this support. And once they focus on this, they can not only survive, they can also thrive and excel in no matter what they are doing. So E plus R equals O. So we are back to that. So that was the answer that I got. So we will discuss more about this. E is an event, R is the response, and O is an outcome. As a human being, we do not have any control on time, what is going to happen next moment. R is the event, how you're responding to the event. O is an outcome. So outcome is depending on E and R. Event is not in our control, outcome is not fully in our control, but R is nothing but how you're reacting to it. It is fully in our control. And if we take the responsibility to take that response into a responding to a situation but not reacting, we can turn any event in our life into a positive event. And it is proven. It is not, I'm not saying this, it is a proven technique. Most of the people who are the world changers, they have been focusing on this area. They know how to manage failures during the crisis. It's not that they're smart, it's all about how they're managing their emotions, how their mindset is. The only difference is their thinking. So what is our, how we are respond. Hello. Responsibility. So
Rafia,
responsibility, can you hear me?
Yeah, proceed, Rafia, proceed.
Okay. So responsibility is nothing but your ability to respond but not to react. And it is possible. The moment we learn this art of responding, any event can be turned into a positive event. Let's say I am having a plate full of meal and I'm not liking it. So either I can say myself that I will be hungry for the rest of the day because I did not like this meal, or I can say that maybe I can try some other meal. So this way I'm trying to change the way I'm responding. So that response, how we can turn into positive, is called reframing. Is one of the technique that I learned, and it is fully, it is very deep topic. Yeah, usually I apply this in my trainings, which is one full day, and in coaching that itself takes 6 months. So here I'm just giving a zest of it because 15 minutes is not enough. So just to get to more deeper into this, what is reframing? Do you know the life cycle of a lobster? Lobster is a soft mushy animal that lives inside the water, inside hard shell in the under the water to protect it from the predators. Now as this lobster grows, it feels uncomfortable because that hard shell is not growing. So as per its life cycle, it goes behind the rocks and waits until this hard shell is casted away, and it grows a whole new shell and comes back in water so that it can protect itself from the predators. Now imagine if these lobsters have doctors. The moment they get that pain, immediately they go to the doctor. The doctor will give a medicine and they will not even think to grow. We all want to grow, isn't it? Why we're working hard at our work, being in our professional life, so that we can provide something that is important for our family, being responsibilities. And it's not only about your work, but you also have your responsibility to take care of your thoughts and respond, but not to react. So as human beings, if we have this shell of very hard shell of negativity, and the moment we successfully remove this shell, we can see the light, we can see solution with much more clarity. So the root cause for all the pain that, as per based on my research for 8 years, I have been interviewing many, I wrote my book, and I'm still working on my upcoming book, but everything I realized, negativity is the core. There are many conflicts in your team because they're not motivated. As a manager, you are stressed because on board, you don't know what is happening. You have to focus. You have a responsibility of your family. There is uncertainty everywhere. But there is one thing that we must realize, that one thing certain in life, which is uncertainty. We have been living the life of uncertainty, but we did not realize it. So once we can successfully cast off the shell of negativity, what happens is we can get rid of this negativity, fears, and anxiety, and we can see solutions clearly by building an emotional resilience. And that emotional resilience will become your support system moving forward, no matter what happens in your life, so that you can respond but not to react. So that's how you can shift your focus from problems to possibilities, stepping away from that frame of negativity. That's where you can find solutions. So in this process of adapting to new normal, if we can recover, reprogram, and revamp is nothing but once you get through this journey of shifting your focus, once you see the solution, making your action plan and taking that first step to do it anyway, no matter how difficult it is, that's revamp. So to summarize what we shared today is it's all about how you think and how you react. uh, to summarize, so today we discussed about an astronaut's perspective, which is nothing but stepping out of your frame of negativity to look back the same event from a different perspective, so that you can shift your focus from problems to possibility. And it is very important for you to step out of the frame, because you can, otherwise you cannot see the light. And the another one is even 10%, anything that happens in life is 10% what happens in your life, and 90% how you react to it. And third point is E plus R equals O. E is an event, R is a response, O is an outcome. So before closing this session, I want to share this. One of the lessons that I learned in my life is change your perspectives to turn every change in your life into an opportunity for growth. Trust me, it is possible, because once you step out of that frame, so you can step out outside your current world and look back at it from a different viewpoint. So you can stop seeing just the problem and start finding the possibilities for growth. And ladies and gentlemen, just like I found, to gain an astronaut's perspective, I promise you, you don't need to fly into space. You can do it on your own. It is within you. We have all the answers and we can get it outside by ear. But if you have any difficulty to do it, I'm here to help you. That is my life purpose, to bring that happiness in people's lives so that they can live their life with abundance, and also a purpose, so that they can share their gifts to the world, because we know that we all are blessed with our gifts. So Perspective Matters is my upcoming book. I hope my today's session can help you to take one or two takeaway points. If anything, if you like, please, you can message me. If you anything that you do not understand, feel free to connect me after this session. Any of the tools that you could not apply. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rafia. That was a good perspective towards how do we change our mindset in this situation, and how do we
Yeah.
face this new challenge that we have and train our mind with these tools that you presented. Thank you so much. We will now move on to our last session, that is the Q&A session for both the presenters. You can, my audience, you can okay, sorry. So we have a poll before the Q&A. I would like to request you all to send in your preferred options in this poll. So you have about a minute's time to finish with this poll. I hope you all are able to put in your polls. Okay, so we are about close to a minute's time, and we will be ending the poll soon. I would like to thank you all for putting in your preferred options there. Okay, so I will now move on to the Q&A session. We do have a few questions here from the audience here. You can still feel free to send in your queries as we are discussing the few questions that I have here. Okay, one of the questions that we have here is, you spoke, Mr. Debashish Mazumdar, you spoke about COVID management plan on board. How would these plans be implemented on board, and how would how would there be an assurance of these implementation plans being successfully implemented on board? Management plans implemented on board.
So, Vanita, this is a requirement now.
Mr. Debashish, your voice is feeble. Can you please be a bit louder?
Can I request Rafia to just put the presentation off, please?
Oh,
Sharing screen.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Now, this is the COVID management plan is part of
Your voice is still feeble, Debashish. Can you be a bit louder?
okay. Hear me now, right? Is that okay?
I would request all other viewers to put their mic on unmute. Okay, Debashish, you can unmute your mic and speak. Your mic is muted. Can you please unmute it? Okay, yeah.
All right. Okay. Hear me now?
Yes, you're quite clear now.
Now, okay. Now, like the other management plans on board, there's all the companies have to, write up this management plan. The guidance are given in the IMO, and these plans to implement, they should be part of the safety management system. So anything when you do, first of all, when a new thing has come, a management plan has to be in place, because from the management plan you get the further things to do. What all the 20 points which I discovered, which I spoke and discussed today, was all part of the management plan. So the management plan has to be on board, and it should be accessible to all inspectors, auditors, and it will be part of the manual. And like we have the carpet management plan. So this is plan, and they have to be implemented. Now the plans are implemented or not will be taken care of by the auditors of ISM, by the port state authorities, by port health authorities. So once these are things, but these are still not mandatory. So these are just guidance, because everything is new at the moment. So, but COVID-19 management plan is essential on board now.
Yeah, with regulations still not coming into force with regards to these management plans, I assume it will be good to have these plans in place. And with the travel restrictions and lockdowns all around, I think in the near future, virtual trainings is only the way ahead.
Yes, because nowadays, like training, all things are going to be on remote, because there's definitely restrictions on flights and stuff like that. People are still going back home, and charter flights are now, from UK, there's just charter flights four charter flights last week, going to Mumbai, Goa, and Cochin. So these are, people are getting home now. Now we have to think about when people join back ship. So there is definitely going to be restrictions on travel, and similarly for superintendents, and for travel for superintendents will be difficult for the next 6 to at least 1 year. So we, all the companies have to think some sort of a remote management, and as I mentioned in my speech, localized inspection, localized auditors who are in that area to go and do audit or an inspection on behalf of the owners.
Okay. Noted on that. We do note that we are expecting a lot of changes in procedures and compliance. So seafarers on board being stuck for a while are under tremendous pressure. So do you think the present scenario would affect the safety of life, environment, and property? And what is IMO going to do with regards to that? Would there be a reassessment of regulations and their frequency of inspections?
IMO is all the guidelines are for the safety of the seafarers. These are all things to protect them because we must, all the companies, they're all ensuring we must protect the seafarers. Seafarers, unless the seafarers protected, ship can't move. So all the steps have been taken so that the virus doesn't affect the seafarers. The seafarers should be kept totally safe. That's why even IMO regulations, if you read, the visitors are kept to a minimum. Now, a ship comes on port, the only visitor is the agent, and that too with social distancing. And of course, suppliers of spares and all the suppliers, they leave it in the jetty and go away. It is your responsibility to pick it up. That's how it's happening because I went at this pandemic, went inside a port and I've seen all that. And the cargo operations and everything is fast because there are less cars, less people inside the port. So it's all happening in the right time. But with with this thing, as I showed with the social distancing, once the lockdown is lifted, then these will start slowly, and we have to do that. So IMO is taking all sort of respect. Now IMO has put the guidelines to the member states. Now there's 267 member states. Now the member states will make their own legislation and put this into force. Now we have to see when this becomes mandatory and when the legal, because all the legal mandatory things are put by flag, not by IMO. So IMO has given the guidelines, and now the flag has to make up their mind to do for their particular vessels what all other mandates which we made mandatory. So we have to wait and see when it becomes mandatory.
Yeah, so your answer leads to another question from our participants here. As we still do not have regulations, but only have guidelines and recommendations. So we have a question here that considering the overriding authority of the master with respect to safety, can he opt not to allow external inspector on board in the current situation, even the PSC inspector?
Okay, now there are two aspects to this. First, the master does have the overriding authority. If the master feels that the ship is safe and he doesn't want anything, the master has the overriding authority to stop a visitor to come on board. There's no doubt about it. But when port state is also very careful and very distinct, port state has to protect their officers, especially in the United Kingdom, it's still not happening. So they will, once the things happen, but when port state want to come, that's a government order that the master cannot stop, because that's a localized regulation, right? Port state control is a policing authority. You can't tell your police, no, you can't come. So, that sort of thing. But the port state will not board in a situation where there's COVID or where there's a thing. That's why port state in United Kingdom is stopped. It's not happening anymore. When it will happen, we don't know. When everything becomes safe, then the port state is going to board. But there's definitely caution for the port state because now, after the 3 months extension, now everything is given 3 months extension, right? Now that will finish in July. Now, if the flag state give another 3 months extension, so remote audits, remote inspection, everything will be remote. So we have to, as I mentioned in my speech also, we have to be careful to maintain the ship safety. Because after 6 months, when it will open and port state come, then I'm afraid, if the ship is not maintained properly, because without inspectors for 6 months, without auditors for 6 months, without superintendent visit for 6 months, everything is left to the seafarers. So there might be deficiencies and there might be detention rate.
Noted. Understand that this COVID-19 situation is leading us to reassessment of all other risks involved in shipping operations. So we have a situation now where there is a situation where we need to balance the risk between safety of the vessel as well as safety of the crew on board. Does that lead to added pressure and added responsibilities to the management on board and the management ashore? Because safety of the vessel is indeed important, safety of the crew on board. And inspections not happening, there being restrictions on supply of stores, supply, not restrictions but delays, then attendance to vessels for maintenance would lead to a lot of situation where the vessel doesn't get enough support. Is that leading to a lot of increase in responsibilities to the seafarers as well as the managers ashore?
Yes, of course, because when I spoke, one of my points in 20 years increased responsibility is this, it's a terrific responsibility increase for ship owners, so senior managers. There are people, like people are getting upset mindset, there's mental health problems because seafarers, there's some seafarers who finish their contract and they can't fly. There are suicidal attempts, like these sort of things we are hearing, but the company has to deal with them very nicely, and the captain should be very over, excessive care they should take in handling the crew, because this is a crisis, and now everybody wants to go home, and nobody knows. People are dying everywhere, and it's a mental sort of a trauma. In this mental trauma, how a crew can do his responsibilities properly, do his work properly on board. So it's definitely going to affect. But now, since things and flights are slowly getting over, now charter flights are all going on. But a small company can't do a charter plane for something. They're waiting for the common commercial airlines to. So once they are open, so they are free. So that's why even the ship which I attended, the chief officer, he was a Chinese national, and in 3 months finished his contract. He can't go home. And the owner is just telling him, we were trying, but there's no flight to China from the Europe where the ship is. So it is definitely, and it is really. I've been talking to a lot of senior managers, manning directors, and they are having a hell of a time now. But they're getting all calls from the different ship to take the ship off. And when they take the people out, they have to fill that people out. They have to fly people back. And then there's quarantine in the port for 14 days. So it is not easy. But now I hope some ports will take out when the crew joining, they should have separate rules for the crew. That's what I feel. Because if a crew joins and you put them 15 days quarantine, the ship will sail out. So there should be some sort of a measurements taken, and we will see in the new port when things open up how the crew will be let off like that, like airport also. The crew has got a fast track, so the crew joining a ship will definitely be let off or something like that. But so far no flight guidelines or anything is there, because if there is a quarantine, the crew is difficult to put a crew on board. Unless that is fully the thing by both the government, because two governments are involved: the government of the country where the crew flying, the government of where the ship is, and the government of the flag of the ship. So they all must agree to this. So we have to wait and watch how happens, and take it as it comes.
Wait and watch and adapt to the situation, I guess, because it is not a time to give up, and shipping needs to continue its operations to keep the supply chain ongoing. I have a question from Mr. Ravi Ramanuj here. Hasn't ABS already sent out COVID-19 guidances? And does the guidance give details of disinfection and chemicals, and the effectiveness of these chemicals that can be used on board?
Yes. Anyway, thank you very much, Amon, for that. And it is from these guidelines. Most of the top classification societies has already made this and sent it to their clients. So what you're saying is absolutely right. All the details with the exact chemical, exact detail. I just went through the headings of the stuff. All the details have been taken, because once these guidelines is not only for ship owners, it's for class societies also. Because we have to remember, class societies act on behalf of the flag.
Next.
So flag state is everything. Flag state is responsible for everything, but some of the flag states give everything to the class society. So the class societies are making all these amendments now and sending it. I mean, right, ABS and Lloyds in BKL, they've all done it. So, and the instructions are there with the ship owners, so it helps them to build the plan, build all their procedures. The class is a big help to them.
Okay. We have one more and the last question for today. Can a master request medical certificate from the PSC uh, to confirm that the inspector is COVID free and is symptom free of corona? Okay, what I assume the person here means is, can the master ask the PSC inspector for a COVID-free certificate? Does the inspector boarding the vessel need to have some kind of medical declaration that he is COVID-free and has undergone uh, a 14-day isolation or a swab test which are negative? Can the master request that from the PSC inspector?
Now, again, from different countries is different. I can talk from UK, from the UK perspective. UK court status FA. They will not allow anybody on board unless they have the proof. They will have a process. They will carry some documentation to say they are, COVID negative. The master don't have to ask, because unless they are positive, they won't be sending. Till the time there is a doubt, the port state won't board. When the port state board, they will have a document with them. Definitely,
Okay.
because they will have a document with them that they are COVID safe. So, because naturally you can't come with that, because the status is such, nobody knows who's the carrier. Even without symptoms, you are the carrier. That's what is
Yes.
happening in their sort of thing. So, some sort of a thing. My son is a doctor. He's in the COVID wards at the moment in the UK, and they are patients who have no symptoms but testing positive. So these are the things. So that's why a master will not be put into that position to take a respiration unless it is absolutely sure. I don't think support safe will be going.
Okay. As you mentioned, you can talk about the situation in the UK, but since our vessels are plying all throughout the world, there would be different standards at different ports. So the master, in a way, would be right to question the PSC inspector regarding the certificate. But what I think, yeah, it's my personal opinion here, that it is the need of the hour for IMO and flag states to come up with guidelines that are adopted by everyone in order to safeguard the crew, because all these questions are coming out of uncertainty that the crew have on board. Are we protected or not? So I think it is the need of the hour that we adapt to this COVID situation and reanalyze all the risks that are involved in shipping operations.
See, what I've said is I've already mentioned that. Like when I was mentioning all the changes, there are changes of testing, right? Testing on board facility has to come. So before PM start, the post-trade boarding start, there will be testing facility. If the company decides the swab test, then that is the company norm. The port-trade inspector have a swab test immediately. These things will come up. No,
Yes.
what is available in that? So that is already taken care of IMO. That is why it is in the procedures of the onboard testing. So
Okay.
if the onboard has full right to do for visitors and the crew itself an onboard testing with the swab test, which is now happening in the UK. The cars have been stopped, and you're taken a swab test and you just add it to the whole data they have. Whichever how many citizens they do it. And now they're also in UK, as you know, people in UK they're putting an app out, which is an Isle of Wight, is in the trial at the moment in the UK. The app, if you download everybody, you will find to know who has got COVID positive near you, in your area, like a GPS. It's a fantastic thing which is going to happen now. It's not yet come to the public. It is going to come in within a week or two, but we are in the news. So if you are positive, how many people you are contacting, it can measure. And that's why they have to be quarantined. So this is just a way how to restrict the flow. So if you go to a departmental stores and then it will be by red dots, you'll see a couple of red dots. Those are COVID effectively.
Yeah.
The app will show you. So this is what it is. So slowly it'll come up. A lot of other countries in UK, preferably within this month, it will start that. So that is what it is. It is more, we have to take it as this thing. Everybody will be careful because even the postal inspector is scared about his life.
Yes.
He's like, the crew is scared about somebody coming from outside. He's scared about him getting infected. So it's both sides. So care should be taken for both.
Indeed, everything, the new normal will be something different that we had never imagined of. I have one more last question. I'm sorry, I have extended this webinar for about 17 minutes more, and I will be taking around 5 more minutes of your time. I have this question here that is, can ship owners take measures such as Intertanko guidelines as standard and will be accepted by the flag state control or the PSC?
That will be, should be mentioned with the flag state control. PSC may not take any private bodies or this thing, but Intertanko, they are very popular bodies. Even International Chamber of Shipping, they've got all the guidelines, so everybody is aware of it. And but it's up to the flag state whether to do it. Ultimately, the port trade inspector will go by what the flag state rules are, and the flag state will inform the class society. The class society is also involved in this, and that is how the rules is. If the particular item is agreed by the flag and is passed on to class society for implementation, and accordingly, port state will only confirm what the flag requirements are and the international requirements. So this,
Yes.
so they will go by the IM guidelines.
Okay. Indeed, everybody needs to act upon this situation, and we need to come up with measures to clear all the confusion and give safety a priority and protecting the crew a priority. I would be ending the session here today. Thank you all for joining us. And this webinar today was brought to you by Amon Board and Seed Maritime UK. I hope you are taking away some good points from today's webinar, and we hope to come up with a few more topics of discussion that would interest you all in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you everybody for all your time and thank.
Thank you, Patnaik. Thank you, Anita.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
everyone, for your time.
Thank you very much. And Amon Board app will continue to provide all the information. They've got respective port information as well in a section called Port News. Please download the app, and we will endeavor to get all the information in one spin, in one location for all of you. Thank you very much.
And this episode, I think, is all available on the YouTube as well as on the Facebook. So
Yes, it is available. So you can look at it
Please
again.
like and share.
It's on the Amon Board page of the Facebook.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye bye for now.